Okay, welcome back. We are almost done. We're going to talk about print writer a little bit, and then we're going to talk about scanner, and then we'll end in the last video with some examples. So let's go ahead and jump in again and get started here. Let's talk about opening a file for writing. And this one we're using print writer, and we've been using print writer all semester. You've been using system.out.println, and that is a print writer. And so we're actually doing something similar to what we were doing when we were reading a file. But instead we're writing to a file. So when we want to write to a file, we're going to use print writer, the print writer class, and we're going to create a new object, print writer, called output. And we're going to put in a file name. In this case it's called file. It's a file object called file. And then that file name is called output.txt. And just remember your file path whenever you put your file name in there so that you can access that file to be able to write to. Otherwise you're going to have an error. So, and then you can see in this last line of red code here, output.println. So I want to call you back to the print writer object is called output. So then we're just using that object name output.println to print to that file. So so that's the gist of how to use a print writer. I encourage you to try it out on your own. The other thing that I wanted to call your attention to in this code is the exception handling that's being done here. So just like when you're reading a file, you still need to handle those exceptions just like you would when you're reading a file. Okay. So let's go back to talking about input again. So we can actually read input in line by line. And we can do that using the method from scanner called next line, and that's going to read in the entire line of input from a file. Okay, and we can break that down using a scanner. Okay, so we have three different ways of using scanner. We've used scanner to read input from the console, we've used scanner to read input from a file, and now we can also use scanner to tokenize a string. That's pretty cool. So we're going to actually create a new scanner, and we're going to put the string name into that scanner, and that's what we're doing here in this code. So we've created a string called text, and we have some information in there, some strings or some characters that are considered a string. And then we are going to create a scanner object called scan, and we're going to put that variable name text into that scanner object. And now you can see after that, now we can print out each of those tokens one by one using that scanner method next. So now that's going to break out each of those tokens from that string into its own individual tokens. And you can even save those into a separate variable as well. So just remember that this is a really great way to break down a file into even smaller pieces. And this is how you would do that. So again, we have a scanner that we are accessing a file. So we have a scanner object that's accessing this file. And while there is another line in that file, we are going to put that line into a variable, a string variable called line. And then we can put that string variable line into another scanner and break it down even further. So again, we're taking an input file that has a lot of data, and we're breaking it down into pieces that we can handle and manipulate a little bit easier. And we can, and I encourage you to practice with that a little bit more, breaking those down, and we are going to have some practice in labs and in your programming assignments as well. Okay, one more video lecture left, and I'll see you over there. Okay.